Flutes! We're back with our third part of our series of learning how to play syncopation. This week, we are adding some more advanced rhythms. We will first break down the rhythms and learn how to read them. Then we will practice listening and playing some short examples. Then we will read 3 long exercises to help strengthen our music reading skills. I have already provided 2 lessons on how to read syncopation. If you haven't yet watched those, go back to this channel here and watch those first. If you have already watched the videos, you will notice that we worked on our quarter notes and 8th note branch of our rhythm tree. This lesson, we will expand to the branch below the 8th notes, which are the 16th notes. The more advanced we get in our music reading, the more attention to detail we have to be prepared for. Almost everything you read in music is a symbol, just like the symbols that we learn in math. The more advanced we get in our music reading, the more symbols we have to memorize. Sometimes these symbols can look very similar to each other. That's where attention to detail becomes necessary. For example, these 2 rhythms are not the same in length or time, although they look very similar. But notice how one has 1 flag and the other has 2 flags. These 2 rhythms we've already discussed in our previous videos are the same. 1 flag equals 1 beam. They're both 8th notes. These rhythms are the new rhythms we're going to go over today. Like I said, they look very similar to the 8th notes, but they are not. This one has 2 flags, this one has 2 beams. They are both the same rhythms, but they're not the same as the 8th notes. They're 16th notes. 2 flags, 2 beams equals the same rhythm, 16th notes. So let's break these down and figure out how they relate to the other rhythms like 8th notes and quarter notes in time. These 2 groups of rhythms are the same. You have 4 16th notes all written with 2 flags. Beside it is also 4 16th notes, but they're connected with a double beam. It's important to understand how these fit into both 8th notes and quarter notes. So we already know that it takes 2 8th notes to fill a quarter note. And when we play that quarter note, we play when the metronome click starts, and we hold that quarter note all the way until the next metronome click. We know that a quarter note is equivalent to 2 8th notes, which means that it lasts for the full length of your foot tapping the ground and coming back up, and then the sound stops before your foot taps the ground again. So just as a refresher, let's listen to how the quarter notes line up with the metronome and the foot tap. Listen as I play. So if you paid attention to the foot tap and you listened to the metronome while I played, you know that I changed quarter notes every time I reached a new click of the steady beat. We also know that 1/8 note is only half a beat, which means that it's half a quarter note. So you must play 2 8th notes to fill the same time as a quarter note. 1/8 note is when your foot taps the ground, and the other is when your foot goes into the air. If you're reading 8th notes that are connected by beams, the first one is when your foot taps the ground, and the second one is when your foot goes into the air. When you play these 8th notes with the metronome, the first one is when you hear that click of the steady beat, and the second one is in the space before the next click, when your foot fully extends to the top. Listen to these 8th notes closely and pay attention to the foot tap. Notice how some of them is when my foot taps the ground, and the other 8th notes are played in the space between the metronome clicks, which is the steady beat. Hopefully you're noticing by now that rhythms are just fractions of each other, but we just use symbols to recognize them. You can see on this note tree how 2 8th notes are below the quarter note. And on the same branch, you have 4 16th notes below that quarter note. So therefore, a 16th note is 1/4 of a quarter note. That means it takes 4 16th notes to fill the same time of a quarter note. So this means if you're breaking it down, you have 2 16th notes on the first 8th note and 2 on the second. That means you'll play 1 16th note when your foot taps the ground, 1 before your foot fully extends. The third is when your foot is fully extended, and the fourth is back down right before your foot taps the ground. When playing these with a metronome, the first one begins on the first metronome click, and you must play the following 3 before the next metronome click. Listen to this example of 16th notes. Listen to how I play 4 16th notes for every beat. Here's a video of what your foot might look like when you're tapping along with a metronome and how it's subdivided between the 16th notes. Now that we've broken down this rhythm and we've listened to some examples, let's play some one measure examples of various 16th note patterns. First, we'll warm up using the E flat major scale. In the E flat scale, you play B flats, E flats, and A flats. Play along with me when I count off. 1, 2, ready, play. Okay, we're warmed up. Let's create our first measure example, combining various patterns of different rhythms that we've already learned. For this one, we will play a quarter note, 2 eighth notes, 4 16th notes, followed by 2 16th notes and an eighth note. When you play this with the metronome, this is what it sounds like. 1, 2, and 3 and a 4 and. Before we play it, let's look at beat 4. Notice the first 2 notes are combined with 2 beams, and the third note is combined with 1 beam. That means that this is 2 16th notes followed by an eighth note. We know that it takes 4 16th notes to fill the time of a quarter note. So 2 16th notes would be equivalent to an eighth note. 1/4 plus 1/4 equals 1/2. So in this beat, you'll have half a beat played with 16th notes and half a beat played with eighth notes. That means the third note, the eighth note, in this beat will be played when your foot is fully extended to the top on the and. And since 2 16th notes fill an eighth note, we can eliminate that fourth foot pattern because the eighth note will last the full length of 2 16th notes. If you're looking at it compared to 4 16th notes that are combined with 2 beams, it would be like we were eliminating the 4th 16th note. Okay, let's try playing this example when I count off. 1, 2, ready, play. Let's play again. 1, 2, ready, play. Now, before we move on to another example, let's play this same example, but change pitches. So you'll play with me, but notice on this one, we change pitches every single beat. Be prepared for that. Play with me when I count off. 1, 2, ready, play. Okay, let's play that one again. 1, 2, ready, play. Okay, moving on to our second example. Let's create a new measure of 4 different beats combining different rhythms. On this one, you have 2 eighth notes followed by an eighth note connected to 2 16th notes. Beat 3 is also another eighth note connected to 2 16th notes. And then you end on a quarter note. This is what it sounds like with the metronome. 1 and 2 and a 3 and a 4. Okay, let's look at beat 2 in this measure. It looks similar to beat 4 in the previous example. However, in the previous example, you had 2 16th notes followed by an eighth note. In this example, you have an eighth note followed by 2 16th notes. This works the same way as the previous example. We're just rearranging a little bit. So you have an eighth note connected with 1 beam, and then it's followed by 2 16th notes at the end. That means the first note in this beat is when your foot taps the ground. The second note is when your foot's fully extended to the and the third note is just before your foot taps the ground again. Same thing here. You have half a beat at the beginning of beat 2, and then you have 2 fourth beats, which is also a half a beat, at the end. So if you're using your foot pattern, it would look like this. And if you're comparing it to the 4 16th notes that are connected by 2 beams, it would be like we were eliminating the second 16th note in that group. Play with me when I count off. 1, 2, ready, play. Let's try that one again. 1, 2, ready, play. Just like the first example, we're going to try this measure with the same rhythmic pattern, but we're going to change pitches. Play with me when I count off. 1, 2, ready, play. Play with me again. 1, 2, ready, play. Okay, we've broken down the rhythms and discussed them. We've played a couple of short examples. Let's now begin with our 3 long exercises to strengthen our music reading. Here's exercise 1. Play with me when I count off. 1, 2, ready, play. If you watched my previous videos, you know that I recommend going back and playing these exercises a few times. 1, to make sure that you have them down really well and that your music skills are strengthening. But also, if you're an intermediate musician, it may take you a few tries to get the exercise correct. Don't let that discourage you. Just rewind and try again. For now, let's move on to exercise 2. Play with me when I count off. 1, 2, ready, play. Okay, and finally moving on to our final exercise, exercise number 3. Play with me when I count off. 1, 2, ready, play. Okay, that's all for this lesson. Please let me know how I can better serve you in future videos. Have a great day.